Hey everyone, welcome back to TechBit Academy. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. Let me ask you something. Have you ever downloaded an app that looked absolutely stunning on the surface, but then completely crashed the second you actually hit save? Or maybe you've had to use a new system for work or school that just felt totally disconnected from what you actually needed it to do? Today, we're going to crack the code on exactly why that happens. And more importantly, we're looking at how incredibly complex ideas actually become reality without just collapsing into total chaos. If you've ever looked at a massive, beautifully functioning piece of software and wondered how all those thousands of moving parts actually get built without falling apart, well, you're in the right place. We're going to demystify the invisible scaffolding that literally holds the tech world together. But before we get to the solutions, we kind of need to agitate things a bit and ask a slightly painful question. Why do so many projects fail? Because it is a stark, unavoidable reality in the tech industry. Far too often, vast amounts of energy, brilliant ideas, and crucial resources just vanish into thin air because things go entirely off the rails. And we aren't just talking about a missed deadline here or there. We're talking about massive scope creep, where a product tries to do absolutely everything and ends up achieving nothing. We're talking about severely blown budgets that bleed a company dry, or spending months building products that literally nobody wants to use. It's incredibly frustrating. But to fix this notoriously high failure rate, to ensure what you build actually survives the process, we have to start by understanding the absolute basics of what we're even dealing with. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. What is a project? The baseline. So, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, by definition, a project is a temporary effort to create a unique product, service, or system. Now, what's really interesting about this definition is the emphasis on those two specific words, temporary and unique. It's absolutely crucial to grasp this early on. You see, a project is not your everyday ongoing work. To give you a concrete contrast, think about keeping a university's Wi-Fi running day in and day out. That's daily operations. That's just maintenance. But building a brand new student portal completely from scratch, now that is a project. It's a dedicated, standalone push to build something entirely new that hasn't existed quite this way before. Let's break that concept down even further by looking at its core anatomy. Basically, there are three key features of a true project. First up, it has a start and an end. There is a definitive finish line. It's not just some perpetual loop of torture that goes on forever. You will eventually be done. Second, it has a specific goal. You aren't just wandering aimlessly, coding and hoping something good happens. Without a locked-in target, you get what's known in the biz as feature creep, where you just keep adding random things until the whole system breaks. And third, it produces a unique result. When you finally cross that finish line, you have a distinct, newly created product, service, or system right there in your hands. Moving right along to our next section, mastering project management. So project management is defined formally as the process of planning, organizing, and managing resources. Think of this as the active, dynamic process of steering a ship. And in the tech world, your crew is your dev team, and your tools are your software stacks. You've got your team, your servers, your timeline, your budget. Those are all your vital resources. Managing them efficiently, rather than just letting them sit there or letting everyone run off and do whatever they want, is the active survival process that determines whether you reach your destination safely or sink halfway there. Good management isn't just paperwork, guys. It is literally what keeps the project afloat. And this brings us to the ultimate, often highly stressful balancing act required of any manager. The goal is to complete the project on time, within budget, and with quality. It's often referred to as the golden triangle of project management. There's this old, classic adage in the industry: fast, cheap, or good. Pick two. And honestly, it's absolutely true. If a client wants a piece of software built incredibly fast and incredibly cheap, the quality is going to be terrible. It'll be absolutely full of bugs. If they want high quality and they want it fast, well, it's going to severely blow the budget because you're going to have to hire 10 senior developers to pull all-nighters. On the flip side, squeeze the budget too tight and your timeline stretches out for months. Successfully balancing all three of these rigid constraints simultaneously is the true mark of mastery in this field. So, how do you actually achieve that balance? How do you hit those goals of time, budget, and quality without completely sacrificing one for the other? You do it through four main continuous activities: planning, monitoring, scheduling, and controlling. You absolutely must plan out the scope of the work in detail so you know what good actually looks like. You've got to schedule exactly when each piece happens so you don't run out of time. You continually monitor the actual progress against your expectations. Monitoring is exactly how you know your budget is bleeding out before it's completely gone. And most importantly, you exercise control. Controlling is how you step in and stop that bleeding before the final deadline hits, tweaking and adjusting the variables when things inevitably try to veer off course. These 4 steps, they are the heartbeat of any project.
Let's see how this builds out in a real-world scenario just to ground these abstract concepts a bit. Let's say you have a killer idea for a new mobile app. That's your goal. Awesome. But immediately, before you write a single line of code, step 2 has to be writing a project management plan. You do not just jump in and start typing away. A cool idea instantly requires a serious management plan to figure out the scheduling, the monitoring, and the controlling of the resources you're actually going to need to launch that app successfully. The planning precedes the building, always.
Which brings us to our final section, why software is different. Software project management, or SPM, is the application of project management principles specifically to software development projects. You see, building software isn't like building a bridge. When you build a bridge out of steel and concrete, physical materials obey the laws of physics. You pour concrete, it sets. You can't just move a support pillar 3 feet to the left halfway through construction. But software is invisible. It's highly malleable. It is built purely on logic, which means you can build a massive, towering structure of code, and it can completely break and come crashing down just because of a single missed semicolon on line 400. That invisible, fragile nature requires a highly specialized focus. Because here is the undeniable truth about why SPM matters so much. Software projects are incredibly complex, but more painfully, requirements change frequently. Because the materials of software are seemingly invisible, people think they can just be swapped out on a whim without any consequences. Your client will ask for a simple login page on Monday, and by Friday they've decided they want it integrated with the blockchain and a customized AI chatbot. No joke, this happens. And they don't see the underlying architecture tearing apart to make that happen. Because of this constant shifting, there is an incredibly high risk of failure. The stakes are intense, and without strict SPM to control those changes, the project will quickly unravel. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, that's great advice for massive tech companies in Silicon Valley, but how does this apply to me right now? You might think this is just a corporate problem, but the reality is you are about to face the exact same high-stakes, volatile environment much sooner than you might think. Let's shift from those industry-wide risks to your immediate personal reality. Managing your final year project. Yep, this is exactly where you are going to face these complex, shifting software requirements firsthand. Your final year project has a strict start and end date. It has a specific goal, and it demands a unique result. It requires intense planning, rigorous scheduling, and a massive amount of controlling. This is where you face the brutal reality of scope creep, group members not delivering on time, and code-breaking bugs hitting you at 3 a.m. the night before your massive presentation. You aren't just a student completing an assignment anymore. In this scenario, you are a software project manager desperately steering a volatile project, trying to stop the ship from sinking. But here's the good news. By actively planning, scheduling, monitoring, and controlling your resources, rather than just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, you ensure your temporary effort actually results in a high-quality success. The tools are right in front of you, and the outcome is entirely in your hands. So, will your final year project be a success or just another failed statistic?